Press Story, Audio 15. Be happy. I returned to my early days in Sweden. Our landlord's son got married and needed a home, so we had to move from our bungalow. We first moved to a lovely white house in the close-by community of Vretstorp. There I continued keeping a couple of rabbits and also grew potatoes in a patch on our front lawn. Then my wife got pregnant with Jennie, and we took out a mortgage on another white house in the small town of Ostansjo. Soon we had a child, and the experience was great, apart from Jennie's early colic. I wanted to grow berry plants, so my wife contacted a local Christian farmer, asking if he had land I could use. He had, a small field that was less fallow, as it no longer gave a good harvest. Over the coming years, I planted raspberry plants, 2 types of blackcurrant bushes, grew potatoes, carrots, and Jerusalem-Artichokes. I also made and hung in place many varieties of bird boxes, with bottoms that could be removed, so I could clean them over the winter. Once I found a nest of mice in one box. I left them there. There were no houses for 300 meters. I hoped birds would nest in these boxes and help keep insects to a minimum. I was able to borrow a tractor and harrow the land, leaving sufficient space between rows so I could weed using the tractor. I also planted a couple of early blossoming willow trees to feed my soon-to-be beehives. A beekeeper held a class in my living room instructing keen newbies how to set up an apiary, bee garden. I could buy hives, but decided to make my own, together with the frames. In time, I made a small wooden structure for a dozen hives. Much later, I moved this hut to my back garden as a playhouse for my daughter. No bees. I bought a second-hand centrifuge to extract the harvest of honey from the frames and used clean plastic tubs to keep the new honey in, which I stirred twice a day to prevent crystals forming, until the time came to siphon the liquid gold into jars and slap a label on them, declaring that this sticky, sugary product was locally produced. With time, the bank repayments proved too much, and we sold the white house on the high end of the road, on the edge of the forest, and rented a house with a long garden in the near vicinity. There were horses in a field bordering the property, but no immediate neighbours. Some time later, my wife became pregnant with our son, Philip, and she moved to another house close to a primary school in central Ostansjo. I was still working in the hospital in Örebro and caring for my berries and bees on my days off. Looking back, I am grateful for this experience, which revealed to me a few of nature's wonders. As it says in Psalm 96 verse 12, Modern English Version, "Let the field be joyful, and all that is in it. And then all the trees of the forest shall rejoice before the Lord."
What is justification by faith? It is the work of God in laying the glory of man in the dust. And doing for man that which it is not in his power to do for himself. When men see their nothingness, they are prepared to be clothed with the righteousness of Christ.